What have you been up to lately? I heard you were up at a children's, is it a home for disabled children? Is that right? In the Yonkers?
So, in my first 100 days, I've been now in the diocese, I believe, Archdiocese for 89 days.
Okay.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? It sounds like somebody is.
And I continue to feel blessed and happy and so grateful to God who's called me to be here and to be the shepherd. So in my first 100 days, I just want to be out and about as much as possible and seeing a lot of our people and churches and schools and ministries. And yesterday I saw one of them and visited St. Elizabeth Seton Center, and I walked away with the biggest smile on my face, feeling renewed, a sense of joy, and I was inspired. This particular mission that cares for disabled people and adults and does so with compassion and love and dignity, and it's beautiful, and there's a sense of faith there and living out the faith. I always say faith looks like something, and our charitable works look like something. That's St. Elizabeth Seton. It was faith into action, and I was just very, very grateful for the entire visit. I had a wonderful tour guide. Her name was Stephanie, and she lives right there at the home. Oh. And she couldn't have been better. She showed me all of the rooms and all the facilities and all the good things that are happening, and introduced me to all of her friends there also. It's a real community, and it's a community of faith, of people coming together and living and bringing hope to the world. We'll go right back to that theme of hope.
Sure. And it's largely young people, right?
Correct.
So children. And I would imagine it would be some overlap or somewhat similar to the years that you spent in South America in an orphanage, but I would imagine many times there's an overlap between orphans and those that are disabled, I think, particularly in some cultures, right?
Certainly. And this particular one, everyone has their own needs, and I also got to meet a number of their parents also, who are just so grateful to the church and to the donors and to everyone who makes this possible, that we feel that it's part of a family, that you're not on just to carry responsibilities on your own, but if there's a need, we could somehow work together. And that feeling was extended throughout the entire mission and ministry there.
It kind of reemphasizes our spiritual and theological belief of what we call the Paschal Mystery, that from what seems to be tragic or even death comes life. So at a point, I would imagine in many of these families' lives, they were very disheartened and disappointed in a severe disability, but to just see how people can flourish and even give love in a different way than the rest of us can.
Correct. And everyone I met, everyone who lives there, it's regardless of the disability, they are bringing life and light to our lives and to our world in a real way, just by their presence and getting to meet with them. I sang songs with some of them. I got on a little merry-go-round that we kind of were able to maneuver ourselves in the playground.
You were merry-go-rounding?
I was merry-go-rounding.
Okay.
I ate some delicious brownies that was baked by someone there who lives there. Said what was the secret ingredient for making them so delicious, and her response couldn't be better. She says, "Love."
No, of course.
Love's the secret ingredients. Yeah.
So that must have been a little hearkening back to your ministry those many years.
It is. Yeah. And just anytime I'm able to see the church on the ground, accompanying people and putting faith into action, works of mercy lived out in a real way that also is bringing joy, not only to the people who live there, but to those around them, that fills me with great hope.
Now, Archbishop, I know you enjoy walking, running, swimming.
Right.
I think I asked you this. You've not done a marathon, have you, or have you?
I have a brother who has many marathons under his belt.
Oh, okay, it's in the family.
So it's in the family. I've never gotten to the stage of running one myself.
Well, we heard about this guy who not only won the London Marathon, he's a Kenyan, his name is Sebastian Sawe, but broke the world record. Under 2 hours,
Correct.
for 26.2
I
miles.
I can't wrap my head around that. Correct. Yeah.
His time was 1:59:30, so 30 seconds under and much ahead of the record. It was like a good minute under the previous world record for running a marathon. But the great thing about Sebastian is he is a devout Catholic back at his diocese of Eldoret in Kenya. And they say about him, he never misses Mass. Last time he won a marathon, he donated to the church. He's an important part of our parish. It was great to hear.
It's a great story, and it's another great story of inspiration and of hope. And we have someone who's now rising to some fame, but taking that fame to say, listen, I'm a disciple of the Lord.
Right.
That comes first. I'm baptized. Therefore, I don't miss Mass. I participate in the sacraments. I make it a priority. And as I've been reading about him, he's just inspired me of when any of us are on a vacation or something like that and we're away from our parish, there's still opportunities most of the time to find a Catholic parish, to go to Mass, make it a priority. And he just shows us the way. He's a world-class runner, and no matter where he is, he makes sure that adoring, worshiping, and praising the Lord and receiving the sacraments is a part of his life. So I applaud his example that he gives to us.
And I think, from what I know, the Catholic Church has really grown a lot in the last several decades in Kenya. In fact, we have a Kenyan seminarian for the Paulist Fathers. The Pope was recently in Africa, didn't visit Kenya, but it sounds like we certainly know probably a lot of international priests that come and serve here in the United States from Kenya. So it sounds like that's a good hotbed of Catholicism.
Anywhere Catholicism is growing, it's a good thing, and it's inspiring to have people across the entire world, no matter where they are from, and if it happens to be from Kenya, to show us the way of how to be a missionary disciple and to live out your faith. I'm grateful for that example.
Well, and we mentioned Pope Leo, who was in Africa. There's been a few less news stories now that he's been back, and
I think he had to take a little break. Well, that was a whirlwind tour.
I was thinking to myself,
how do you recover from that?
Who goes back to the office to get more of a break, right?
That's right.
The Pope was like, I got to get back to the Vatican, where he's only dealing with the things of the entire world.
Just a few issues, that's right.
But he did meet with the new Archbishop of Canterbury, who for the first time is a woman. So that would be somewhat equivalent. I mean, the head, technically the monarch, of course, is the head of the Church of England, but the Archbishop of Canterbury would be the religious person in charge, so somewhat similar to a pope or a patriarch or something like that. And the first time that there was a woman in this role, and the two of them had quite a meeting.
It doesn't surprise me. Once again, it's true to form, it's true to character that our Holy Father, first and foremost, says he's open to dialogue. And if he's serious about that, he's willing to listen. Doesn't mean that he agrees with everything.
Right.
And he was he says, meeting here doesn't mean that all of our theological differences are ecclesiastical differences. Right. It doesn't mean that we're completely on the same page, but at least we can talk with each other. They prayed with each other. And he said something interesting. He says, we have to keep on working to overcome our differences.
Yeah.
So you have to at least meet somewhere and sit at the table to do so. So once again, his example of leadership, of being open to that listening, to the dialogue, and to knowing what he believes, but continuing to work forward has been impressive.
Well, and in our modern world, where we typically see people that are divided as just sort of intractable and can't even communicate, I mean, he said it would be a scandal if, even though we do have divisions, genuine things we disagree on, it would be a scandal if, because of our divisions, we would fail to make Christ known. The point being is that, yes, we know we disagree on things, but we don't disagree on Christ as Lord and Savior, and we got to be united in that.
That was the other quote by him that really struck me also, that stood out, that he said, no matter what our differences, and they could be a lot, those differences could be great, it's make sure somehow we're united on Christ is the most important one in our lives and in the world.
Right.
That's the center. Then you go from there.
And it's one of those things where it's been 500 years of differences and divisions, but let's sit down and
Correct.
be together on this.
Take the first step with
Right,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.